Hello everyone and welcome to Gierok Farms. In today's video I am going to be showing you my new purchase along with giving it a couple upgrades. Hope you guys enjoy the video. So here it is. It is a 2000 Yamaha Kodiak 400. It's got four-wheel drive. I don't know if you'd call it a 2-speed or a 3-speed transmission. It has high, low, neutral, reverse, and park. It's got electric start along with lights, a choke, key, some indicators, a nice little fuel gauge that still works. The tires on it are definitely getting there where it could use some new ones, but they're holding there yet, and they still got a little tread left on it. It's a really nice used four-wheeler, and it's crazy to think that this four-wheeler is already 24 years old. That is insane to think about. And it's still worth a little something. Now, by no means was I looking to purchase a four-wheeler. It's very similar to that planner purchase of mine, that it just happened to be the right kind of deal for a fair price, a good price. This was actually a four-wheeler that my in-laws owned, and they were upgrading to a side-by-side, being they were getting older and things like that. It was kind of sentimental to my wife, along with it'll be another useful tool for the farm. Heck, even around Darby and I's home, it would be a handy little tool here and there. By no means did we need it, but it's just another one of those nice little assets to have. I don't think I'm gonna necessarily lose money on it, as long as she doesn't break down or have anything crazy happen to it. Which, that being said, that's a big reason why I purchased it. Knowing where it came from, they took really good care of it, and it didn't put a whole lot of hours on. It honestly probably wasn't used enough. I think it sat around a little too much in its lifetime. I know in its later years, it maybe was only run 2-3 times a year, just to go out to some hunting land or things like that. I know early on in its life it maybe did a little yard work, according to my wife, but there was no real serious off-roading with this thing, or racing around, or towing like we are with our four-wheelers here, or really putting them to work during the summer months. This four-wheeler's had a pretty leisure life, and that was another reason why I wanted to pull the trigger on it. And I know what some of you guys are saying, what the heck, why are you getting a Yamaha? You guys have Hondas all over the place. And I know, what the heck. I know if I was shopping for a four-wheeler, I definitely would have went with a Honda. But like I said, came from a good home, well taken care of, right price. And it's still one of the better known brands that's been around for a while, and definitely is reputable, I guess you could say. As for the upgrades, I am going to take this light wooden toolbox off, and I am going to put it on the back for now, or maybe just keep it off. I know my wife would prefer to have nothing back there, but I might just throw it on back there. It's just held on by some hose clamps, I think. So easy to take on and off. But for the front, I want to make it even more usable for what I'm used to when it comes to carrying tools and chainsaws and other supplies for a property or the farm. I want to put one of those steel baskets on the front, like the one that Mason made for our older Honda. Give this thing a little bit of an upgrade. I also have some LED lights that I could add to this, not to replace the OEM ones, but just to add on some LED pods. I think it'd be nice, and all they've been doing is sitting in one of my cabinets at the house, so this might be a good place for them. Get a little of that inner teenager that's still left in me out and onto this four-wheeler. That's the agenda. Build a steel basket for the front, along with put some lights on it. But anyways, I better get to work, better grab some supplies and start working on this four-wheeler here. We're in the evening now, so time is running out. Something simple for once. That'll fit really good in the back here. Okay, so I've gathered some materials and put together a rough plan. So I purchased some 1-inch square tubing, and then we have some of this, I believe it's 3/4, some lighter square tubing, and then we also have some stretch steel over in the other corner of the shop. So essentially what I'm gonna do is gonna make 2 squares. The bottom one's gonna be all this heavy duty square tubing, and then the top one, I'm just gonna have heavy square tubing in the front and the back along the longer section, and then this will be on the shorter width part of the section, which is probably okay, because if we used all this heavy stuff, you're definitely making that front end a bit heavier. And but I think it's gonna be heavy enough where this is gonna hang off just slightly, where it'll almost act as a bit of a pre-bumper for the stock bumper. And then we'll also use some of the shorter stuff for your up and down bracing to create some depth to that box. I'm gonna get to cutting. I'll chime back in once I have a rough layout for you guys and get your opinion on it. Okay, we are making some pretty good progress, so I thought I'd stop and update you guys. I have almost all of my pieces cut. The only thing I have left to do is maybe 1, if not 2 crossbars in the center of this basket here going across. But I have both my top and my bottom ring cut. You can see the 2 sets of square tubing there. And then I have all of my spacers for my depth cut. I'm gonna have 1 on each corner. I'm gonna have 2 on the side over here because we're gonna make that chainsaw bar slot right there, along with 1 in the center over here just for some extra stability. And then we're gonna have 3 on the front and then 3 on the back for our depth. And I didn't really want 3, but with the amount of stretch steel we have, we're gonna have to splice it in the middle at least once. We'll have our show side probably all be 1 piece, but then the back we'll have to cut it down the middle, which is a bummer, but that's part of using what you have. And it's this will be great for that stretch steel, that material to go towards something like this. But it is a bummer that I couldn't get away with having 2 nice long pieces and making it bend nice, or making it fit real nice. But we'll splice them together in the center and hopefully make it look somewhat uniform. That's the update as of right now. So gonna finish cutting across, at least 1 support across the bottom. Let me know in the comments down below, especially you guys that do some steel work but aren't doing a crazy amount, what type of cutting tools you have. I know at my off-the-farm job we have a small cheap bandsaw along with a plasma cutter, which is really nice. But I'm kind of looking for something like that, but on the lower price end, because we're not doing a crazy amount of steel work here. And obviously we can get it done with just a cutting wheel on an angle grinder, and that works just fine. Or the chop saw, or even the hand metal band saw. Let me know in the comments down below what you guys have and what you would recommend for cutting steel. Okay, we are finished up with all the cutting and grinding. At least I hope I am. Hopefully my welds are good enough and all my pieces are cut correctly where I don't have to break out that grinder very much, except for some finishing touches and rounding off some corners. That would be ideal. But yeah, like I said, most of the pieces are cut and we should be just about ready to go, which is super exciting. Start tacking stuff together and see how it's gonna fit. Make sure all of my engineering is gonna work out. So we are gonna break out the Miller-Matic, the 212. It's been a really nice and handy welder. Hopefully she runs smooth for us. Also leave comments about welders. Those of you that do some metal work, let us know what type of welders you can get away with and what you think a good budget welder is, and then a really good farm, you know, mid-range welder is, or your super high-end welders. I'd be interested to hear about it. How's it look on camera? Does it look somewhat square? I didn't think about it, but I'll need some kind of spacer there, being this square tubing is smaller than my other square tubing over here. Now I'll keep it kind of raised up. This is actually a bit thicker with this than this is, so it will actually kind of lean back, which would be good. It's kind of like having a leveling kit more than anything. I like it, and it's out far enough where the basket will almost act as a bit of a bumper as well. So this should be pretty sweet. Super happy with how it's going. I'm gonna put you guys away for a while and just hammer out some welding. We'll check back in a little bit. Update. So we have the main structure of the basket put together and I am very happy with how it's looking. By no means is it the perfect, most square, factory made type of steel work, but I am very happy with how it's coming along so far. We're pretty much on the downhill slope here. All we really have left to do is the wire mesh and come up with some way to tie this basket down, lock it in place. It's nice on the Honda that they have some bars built into the OEM rack that kind of come up, and that would help lock this thing in, but we'll just have to make it work. Part of me just wants to tack it right to the existing steel on here, but that's probably not a wise idea. It'd be ideal to bolt it on, especially being it's going to act almost like a first line of defense kind of bumper, to where the bolts can break or flex or bend versus ripping the entire OEM rack and brush guard. But I'm gonna call it quits for tonight. I'm getting tired and I'm not putting as much time into my welds and my cuts, so it's getting a little sloppy, so I figure that's a good time to call it quits. But I'll be back out here tomorrow morning to finish this, and hopefully we'll be painting it here within the next 12 hours. Solid start. I'll be checking in with you guys tomorrow. Wanted to remind you guys that if you haven't already, to subscribe and to also go check us out at GierokFarms.com. That's a store we have online where we have our hats on there, and we'll be adding to the store with some new items. So make sure you stay tuned and check out GierokFarms.com. Good morning, everyone. I am back at the basket project. I was staying awake at night just thinking about it, just trying to plan out what I was doing, tossing and turning. Oh, I'm just kidding. But anyways, I started cutting some of this stretch steel, some of this mesh, whatever you want to call it. And we got the bottom in there. Had nick out around some of the support posts. And then it just so happened that the sheet I cut out of this fits really nice on the front. It's a shame we don't have all the same mesh. We're gonna have to use some of the heavier stuff for the rest of the sides, but at least we were able to make use of a piece like this, and it'll look really nice in the front. And then we'll have our heavier stuff along the sides, and it should work out pretty good. Super happy with how it's turning out. So I'm gonna start tacking this thing in place, and then we'll start cutting out some new strips out of that heavier stuff to finish the rest of the basket. And there it is. The main structure of the box is done. All that we really have left to do when it comes to metal fab is to come up with a design to strap it on to our existing rack. That's all we really have left. Otherwise, the main shell of it is nice and solid. Definitely took some time tacking this wire mesh on, but I'm happy with how it turned out. We were able to get away with some lighter stuff. We ended up having enough. Super happy with that. Looks way more uniform now. Now to do the engineering on this end of the project. Time for another update. I ended up cutting a piece of the rack so I could push it in a little further. It was hanging out super far where I noticed later that loading it in and out of a pickup bed, you might hit the rear window. So I got it now to where it still is slightly in front of the bumper, but with the gap between the bed and the rear window, we should be good now, where this shouldn't touch anything. And then we're also a bit more compact then, and we got more of our weight towards the back of the machine with a 1/16 of a gap there. And I welded the bar that I cut back onto the rack to act as kind of a stop. And then we'll also end up strapping it to that. And then same with here, end up drilling some holes, I think, through the OEM rack, bolting this plate onto the rack itself, and then come up with some type of like U-clamps or U-bolts for the back corners and maybe the sides here. I'm gonna try to find some material, start drilling some holes, and then we'll check back in a little bit. I got my holes drilled here, some long bolts. I'll have to have some big washers on the bottom. That's gonna do most of the holding this box down. And then I also decided it's hard to make a nice plate that would look nice. So I'm gonna use some hose clamps and just paint them black to match. Especially because back here, all that's really doing is help stabilizing this so it's not rocking, even though these will lock it down really nice. I just figured it'd be nice to add something to the corners. I think the only thing that's gonna cause any issues when it comes to this box coming undone is if you're going through the woods or something and bump into a tree and then jar the whole rack. Then it might pop things loose, but I kind of want it built that way. I don't want it too fastened down too tight to where I rip up the front rack of the four-wheeler, where this almost acts as like shear pins, I guess you could say, if I do hit something. Because we all know where four-wheelers end up going. They don't end up going to the nice open places all the time. They get to go into the woods and things like that. So that's the plan. I'm gonna pull him off, and I'm gonna probably set up somewhere in the back of the shop and put a nice coat of primer on this guy, get the painting process started, and then we're gonna transition into working on some of those aftermarket lights I have for this thing. Okay, while our paint is drying, I've been tapping into the wiring on the four-wheeler and putting these LED pod lights in, and I'm thinking I'm gonna mount them in here some way. They have a bolt on them, so I don't know if I drill through the bumper and kind of mount them in there, point them out slightly, because I have high beams up top here that are more direct, so this would kind of give me that distance along with some width as well. I tapped right into the wiring on the four-wheeler. Hopefully I don't regret that. Hopefully that it can hold up to having the extra LEDs on there. I had to pull apart all these shields and the rack off the front. I already tested it out. I know everything works, so I'm gonna button everything up here, warm up this heat shrink, and kind of set everything in stone here, and tie everything up, put it all back together, and then come up with a good way to mount the actual pods. For those of you that have used auxiliary lighting, let me know what company you guys prefer to use down in the comments. I'd be interested to hear about it. These, I'm not sure exactly what brand they are. They're so old, and I've already painted them once because they were on my Jeep back in the day. So let's get to work and button this project up. Sweet. And there we go, she's all put back together. All I have left to do is to throw some paint on some of the stuff that got scuffed up or that I welded or cut. So I'm gonna touch that up with some paint quick, and then we're gonna head back to the rack in the back of the shop and give that its nice pretty coat of black paint. There we go, first coat of black is on. I got maybe 3/4 of a can left. So I'll use that as a light second coat on some of the more prone to rubbing paint off kind of spots. And then we'll install it and then use the rest to kind of just touch up things once the box is on, or the basket. So we'll check in here in a little bit, let that paint dry. See you guys in a couple hours. And there you go, we are done with the four-wheeler project. I am very happy with how it turned out. Super happy with how the lights fit nice into the bumper, and crazy happy about how this basket turned out. It took a bit longer than I would have liked, but at least it should last. That shouldn't fall apart on me anytime soon. So super happy to have this four-wheeler kind of spruced up. I need to run it a bit more and use it a bit more and see if that kind of clears up that idle. And if that doesn't help, then maybe I'm guessing maybe clean out the carburetor or put a carb kit in it or something like that. But that's all pretty simple stuff. It still gets the job done the way it is. So thank you all for watching. Make sure to leave plenty of comments down below. Let us know what type of add-ons you've had on your four-wheelers or UTVs, especially if they're work related. I'd be interested to know how you made them more efficient for your operation. And that's the nice thing about this, is I should be able to change it and update it based on what I'm actually doing with it in the future. But we got a good base now. We got a good start. Thank you all for sticking to the end. Make sure to check us out at GierokFarms.com, and we will see you guys next time.